Hello and welcome back to the E-Arsenal podcast, and I'm utterly frazzled after the North London derby, I have to be honest with you. We are here once again to talk all things and everything Arsenal Football Club. Obviously we'll be covering the North London derby. If we absolutely must, we'll cover the Swansea game, which, you know, despite our optimism last week, we did lose to. We'll be looking ahead to the Hull game, which is almost completely... I've almost completely forgotten we've got an FA Cup replay tomorrow night. So we'll be talking about that and everything else that needs to be covered. And I am joined by a few esteemed members of the Arsenal fraternity, and I hope you will welcome them with me. Hello, Rob. Welcome back.
Hello, back again. Not as angry as last week, I don't think. Depends if we get onto the Swansea game.
Yeah.
The anger might come back.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe in that case we might come to the Swansea first, and then you kind of rise our the tone of the podcast as it goes along. Great stuff. And also with us this evening is we have a new voice to the show. And hello, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm not bad. Not bad, thanks.
Like I ask everybody else, everybody new to the show, just would you like to introduce yourself a bit? How you first, your love of Arsenal, your burning desire for all things Wenger and magic hats, and how you first started supporting this club, this wonderful club of ours.
Just followed on from family, really. I mean, my dad, he's not a huge football fan, but he introduced me to Arsenal, and I just like the way they played and stuff like that. So just grew up around the club, to be honest.
Yeah. What's your favourite memory? I know you're you say 19 years old, so you're a wee nipper. So what is your your favourite memory?
Favourite memory? It's a bit of a difficult one.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've always remembered Thierry Henry's goal at the Bernabeu was probably one of my favourite moments.
Certainly, yeah. Whether you're in the 30s like me or not even 20 like yourself, I think that memory would resonate with most Gooners. I think Rob will agree with that.
Yeah, if you're in the middle like me.
Yeah, I do remember on that particular night, as I was at uni at that point, and we made as we won 1-0. And thoroughly, just a superb performance. I remember Reyes was an absolute beast that night. He was a total beast, and we celebrated with this with an apple sours trophy, basically. And yeah, I think I can't remember what it was made up. It was like just lots of shot glasses, and it was flowing. It was like one of those. It was like the Trevi Fountain, sorry, in Rome, I believe. Only it was made of apple sours and not water.
Nice.
Yes. So that's a really good memory for me, absolutely. So, I mean, we'll get on to BT Sport in a little bit, because I'm going to have a bit of a rant about that. But, yeah, I mean, it was important not... I think the consensus was we really needed to try and beat that lot down the road. But having, all things presented to us during the game, having a man down, and a lot of people questioning our fighting spirit, our hearts, and the heart of Arsenal, I'm quite happy with the point. I have to say there was when Coquelin got sent off and when Alderweireld scored and when Kane scored, I had this calming, I wouldn't say calming, I had this aura descend over me of almost acceptance. Oh my God, Spurs are going to win, but they're not going to win the league. I don't think. So yeah, but before we get onto that, Rob, Swansea.
Oh my God! After you'd almost think the players didn't listen to last week's podcast.
No,
how angry we were.
Absolutely.
The Man United game. I mean, it started so well as well. Campbell scored after about a quarter of an hour, didn't he? And we thought, oh, okay, they've woken up. He's put Joel Campbell on, and we've gone 1-0 up. This will surely end 3-0 to the Arsenal, as it should. But because it is Arsenal, they conspired to absolutely mess it up, as they would.
Not half.
I mean, we were unlucky in a sense that we hit the post and the crossbar a couple of times. Although I sort of agree with a few people who have said it's not so much down to luck when it comes to those. It's more you're just bad at finishing, especially Giroud 8 yards out.
Yeah, which sadly is becoming it's like a cracked record now, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, foul on Ozil, but play to the whistle. Don't let Wayne Routledge get past you and score.
Say Wayne Routledge, who hasn't scored a Premier League goal in a year.
Yeah.
Such an easy goal to concede as well. It was stupid.
Yeah. Carry on, Rob.
And then I didn't really see us getting a winner. Even at 1-1, it felt a bit, where's this goal going to come from? And then obviously it just all went. You want to go on to that?
Well, and you bring him off, but then equally he's a Premier League player. He should be extremely fit. Individuals in the team. So I don't know. I think he should be completely vilified for it.
I don't think it was like when he brought our shot, the best player on the pitch, right. And like was clearly the only one on the team that was going to do something. Have a reason to vent the anger after Sunday, and they were looking for a stick to beat with almost. So I've taken off Campbell's goal and look.
Let's be honest. Us as fans, and we do like to for any opportunity sometimes, because if look about Wenger particularly, because all I've said is going to be repeated, and it feels like I'm wasting my breath, as I said last week. So, the manager can't motivate his players, and if it doesn't matter. You say the players don't perform, but it's his job to get the players up to a level where they do perform, don't have the heart and spirit, then you have to question, well, why do certain individuals take their place in the team as they do? Matt, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
What do you think went wrong
against Swansea?
Yeah.
It's just the same old every season, isn't it? I mean, you say the players don't turn up and stuff like that, but we did have plenty of chances to put the game to bed, and at the end of the day, it came down to defensive naive.
I'm concerned about our defence at the moment, because without Koscielny having a decent partner to have, he's taken a step back, and I'm sorry, but Gabriel's just not good enough.
I think we've only just realised that recently as well, that he seemed a decent backup, but now he's come in when it matters most. He's come in and he hasn't performed. Yeah, and
for me, him and Koscielny are very similar, so it would be a mistake to play them in the same partnership, because one needs to be a foil for one another, and perhaps not a foil, but you need to work. You can't have the same characteristics as a defender. That's what makes a team. You all bring something else to the party. So a complete carbon copy, not a complete carbon copy, but a similar like-minded player, it was a mistake. And it's just, it doesn't. He shows a lot of fight and shows a lot of character, but at the end of the day, he's very poor quality. He might get better. We all remember how Koscielny was at the start of his, at the embryonic stages of his Arsenal career. I mean, really bad, and he took massive steps forward. But now we're seeing Koscielny taking steps backwards because he doesn't have a proper partner, and that's concerning. And especially talking about Swansea. I mean, they're a tough nut to crack, but I think he said a lot. Like a couple of days before that, Swansea took the lead against Spurs at White Hart Lane through Poloshi, and then Spurs, but they wanted to win the game. We took the lead against Swansea, and they went on to beat us. I think that's a pretty damning critique, personally. I mean, did you? First of all, I should ask you: are you in Wenger's camp or not, Matt?
After Man United and Swansea, I sort of lost the will to live, really, with Arsenal and the whole Wenger, the whole Wenger out kind of thing. I've never really been a Wenger out person, but I know we'll touch on Spurs more later, as you said. But after Spurs as well, and the Coquelin sending off, I felt a bit sorry for Wenger. The amount of times the players do seem to let him down in high pressure situations in the big games, But I do think his time is coming to an end, finally.
Yeah, there's a couple of stories doing the running. Over, I think yesterday he was, albeit run by the Daily Star and I believe the Mirror as well. So let's just take that salt and throw it over our shoulder, why don't you? Because it's probably a nothing story. Especially, I mean, certain things I've read is that he might be offered a contract extension. Goodness me! I mean, like another 3 years on top of his 1 year that he's got left already. But there's rumours now that he's been asked, invited to leave, as you would be, invited to leave a pub or a club if you've been naughty. Say for instance. So make of that what you will. But yeah, let's get on to the NLD. There was a moment. In fact, there was quite a lot of moments. Certainly in the second half, where I was thinking, well, let's just maybe gloss over what's happened in this game, and then maybe just. I was going to actually come to you for your favourite foods, actually, and your life story, so we didn't have to talk about it. But thankfully, Alexis Sanchez decided to score a goal and get us a point, which I thought was well earned. If not, I don't know about deserved, but it doesn't matter. I think it was such a massive point, and it does keep us alive, but more importantly, it keeps Spurs that many points away from Leicester if they are going to win the title, which they seem to be hurtling towards, although there is still 9 games to come. So let's talk about Coquelin first. Rob, do you think he had a good game?
No. I mean, just both the bookings were pretty ludicrous, to be honest. And I mean, it sort of comes down to not really having a great midfield, because the first one he got caught in midfield, there was about 3 Spurs players around him, goes over, pretty much because he doesn't have an Arsenal shirt to pass to, he's pretty much isolated there, and he only really has the option to go down, and he handles the ball pretty stupidly, to say the least. And then the second one, I mean, they obviously didn't drill it far enough into his skull not to do an absolutely stupid tackle on the touchline on Harry Kane, he's not Thierry Henry or Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not about to just gallop away from our defenders.
But he's an awkward player, though, I would say.
Yeah,
no,
but
I see what you're saying as well.
I don't think we were. It's not as if it's, oh my goodness, you must tackle him, he's about to score. Although, I mean, seeing as his second goal went in from a ridiculous angle, he might have just bashed one in from 30 yards from there. But I mean, it was a pretty naive tackle to make and really ruined the game for us, because I think the longer that second half went on, it was probably more likely we might have got a second had we had 11 men than them getting the equaliser.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
it looks a bit devoid of chances and opportunities, really, and that's completely lifted the crowd.
Yeah, completely. We looked relatively calm. I think we didn't look too threatened. I thought, this is going to be, the clock, it was about 58 minutes he got sent off, 59 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, around about then.
And I was like, oh God, this is going to be a long, long half an hour. Really long, we're going to have our backs to the wall with the occasional attack, counter-attacking essentially. But then obviously when that happened, it was like, oh no, you've gone and done it. Oh God.
But there was there was that game 2 years ago when Rosicky scored in like the first 30 seconds, and we held on for a 1-0. And so we are capable. I know recent results perhaps say otherwise.
Well, no, backs to the wall, we're absolutely capable of getting a 1-0 result. As again, it looked like Wenger set up to do on Sunday, as I thought he tried to do against Man United, which failed miserably. So what was your take on the game, Matt?
I mean, it was just frustrating that the red card did happen. For me, we absolutely had to win to stand a realistic chance of winning the league.
Okay.
Because I do think it's going to take a miracle now to win the league. I think we lost way too many games. But at the end of the day, I'm a lot happier with a point than if we'd lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The game could have gone either way at the end, and I'll come to that in a minute. I want to talk about Ramsey. He was trying ridiculous back heels in the midfield for the whole first half, for about 30 minutes. And we were watching the pub, and everyone was watching. Oh, what are you doing? So lazy, so lazy. What are you doing, Ramsey? Just play your normal game. Stop being flipping, I don't know, Zidane or whoever, or Nedved, or anyone who can actually pass the ball with a back heel.
I think he just tries to overcomplicate things
He does.
way too many times,
Well,
and that's what was frustrating about him.
That's what it is. And then we say that, and then he goes and scores a goal, which is, again, there's two camps of thinking. It's incredibly lucky. What's the most deftest touch?
Yeah.
Like, deft finish. Almost to a point where, like, hold on a sec, has that just gone in? So you're watching it.
It came out of nowhere.
It really did, yeah.
I don't think Ramsey's been particularly good this side of the season, in the second half of the season. And I think we are crying out for a calming influence like Cazorla to come back into that midfield, because Ramsey, he seems to waste possession so many times, and he just runs around like a headless chicken, I think, half the time.
Yeah. I mean, if that was the case, though, then maybe, so Ramsey, you're suggesting going back onto the right wing? Or are you not? So you're suggesting?
I mean, I think it works in the bigger games when Ramsey goes onto that right-hand side. I don't really like the idea of him on that right flank, because I think we end up playing too narrow.
Which is where he was on Saturday.
Yeah. But it does seem to work in those bigger games. So I think when Cazorla and Wilshere are back, I think Ramsey, I could see him playing on the right a lot more, especially if Walcott and Oxlade-Chamberlain, those types of players, are so out of form.
Which undoubtedly they will be. Well, I think the difference with Oxlade-Chamberlain is he's actually injured now, so he's got an excuse. That'd be interesting to see, because, like, you know, to lose that whole midfield dynamic, it was something I wasn't the only person to suggest it, but it's such a massive loss. Just, you have to redefine that whole midfield. We didn't have two holding midfielders, like we had one, and then Santi was just slightly ahead of him, just playing like this guy in the middle. He was free to roam, and we do miss that so much. What I'll say also is that I don't think Santi was in the best form before he got injured.
No, but
I guess he's always kind of like one of those players. He dips in and out of the season in terms of consistency levels, and such like. So for Spurs' equaliser, I didn't think the ball went out. To be honest, I thought Ospina kept that in. I'll talk about Ospina in a bit. But from the equaliser, Rob, I mean, trying to maybe pick holes in our defence is something is quite easy to do, because we do resemble a colander at certain points. What was your, just looked a bit scrappy. Alderweireld's he's a great player, great finisher, and I say he had the finish of a centre forward more than a defender. But I mean, should that have really happened?
Not really. I mean, especially they almost conceded from a corner moments earlier as well, when Ospina somehow from behind the line kept that one out. So, I mean, the next set piece almost to concede the equaliser was pretty sloppy. And, I mean, set pieces seem to be a problem all the time for us. I mean, I don't think it's ever really been resolved that well.
No.
So, yeah, it was a bit of an annoying way to concede. And like I said, especially as we'd almost done it just moments previously, we didn't seem to learn from that at all.
And as far as Harry Kane's effort, just 2 minutes later, it was the ultimate 1-2 punch. Worldy or lucky?
I wish he'd saved it for the Euros, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I don't mind if he does that in France, absolutely. It's a great finish. I mean, I'm trying not to like. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying not to downplay the goal, because it's a Spurs goal. It was a
It was.
leading goal.
I thought it was one of those types of goals that it went in. You just, as an Arsenal fan, you think, "Oh God, here we go
Yeah,
again."
so it's like, the ball was flying. It was like, oh God, that's going in.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and the fact that it
Nothing
was
he
Harry
did.
Kane made it 10 times worse as well.
God, yeah. And he took his mask off. I wish someone
Oh,
had
yeah.
punched him in his nose. So I couldn't have a couple of moments. Yeah. So at that point, we're looking down the barrel really, and it didn't look like. I mean, even with 11 men, we couldn't. We in the final third, we just panicked. Like even in the first half, we just run out of ideas. We don't know what. We look terrified in the final third. It's like, oh God, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And so I thought, oh God, how on earth are we gonna possibly even retrieve this? And huge credit to Alexis, and actually huge credit to Hector Bellerin, who was fantastic on Saturday, setting up both the goals. It's the sort of composure that Mathieu Flamini lacks. Do you know what I mean? And this is brilliant. 2 assists in the game. How did you see Bellerin's performance against? Let's say he was against Danny Rose, wasn't it? Essentially. So, yeah. Rob, how did you see that going?
Sorry, my dog had just walked into my room.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Come on, get out. I'm having a horrible episode. Technical difficulties, and now I'm getting attacked by my dog. Sorry, yeah. I mean, he was left a bit exposed by Aaron Ramsey, who decided that he didn't want to be a right midfielder for most of the game and moved on to the right. Moved into the middle. So, I mean, he looked a bit lacking. Second goal, especially. When Mertesacker didn't shepherd out a play and he had sort of allowed Dele Alli to get a back heel. And
that was crazy. I'm glad you reminded me. Like, why didn't you just smash? We've seen that so many times.
I thought Mertesacker looked like a newborn giraffe trying to shepherd out a play. I don't know what he was doing.
It's probably not the first time. I don't think it'll be the last either.
However, going forward, got the 2 assists for the goal. So I mean, you can't really complain. And I mean, it's not so much his job, perhaps, but I think he is sort of lacking going forward. He's not the greatest crosser in the world from fullback. So,
particularly against Swansea, he got in about 4 or 5 situations like that, and his delivery was poor, which is unlike him because since he's come back from injuries, I mean, a lot like Coquelin actually, he's been really quite poor, and it could just.
He's been inconsistent compared to when he compared to his previous year, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because at the start of the season, I mean, I remember his darts up the pitch against Bayern earlier in the season. Now, that was just incredible at the end of the game to have that kind of energy, and that image will stay with me for a little bit, obviously, because it's completely moot in the sense we're going to get knocked out by Barcelona in the last 16. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but that will always suit me. I mean, I'll come to you, Matt, for the other side. The other fullback. How did you think Kieran Gibbs played with? I think the news is Monreal might have a bit of a calf problem, so he'll probably be out tomorrow, and he might be out of West Brom. But how did you think Gibbs played in his stead?
I don't think he was too bad, to be honest. I mean, it's clear that he isn't as good defensively as Monreal is. But yeah, I just don't. I don't know what's happened with Gibbs, apart from the injuries he's had. I just think he needs another run in the team, whether or not that'll happen now with Monreal out for a small while potentially.
With Monreal injured, there's only one viable candidate really, unless you stick Flamini there, goodness sake. So. Yeah, I mean the news is, I say news. It sounds like Gibbs is going to be moved on in the summer, from what I read and what I hear.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't. And that'd be interesting to see who he gets in as a number 2 left back, because there's so many positions in our team. Looking at things, they're not big names, and. Are they stopping us from getting like world-class players? The thing with Giroud now is worrying because
It happens every season, though. He has a spell where he'll score a lot of goals in a row, and then he'll have another spell where he won't score for a period of consecutive games. And
yeah,
you,
but
you need a
sorry, but whilst Wenger's there, he's always going to keep loyal to Giroud, relatively loyal, and I think that's a big problem because he's a great player. His hold-up play is fantastic. I've said it 1,001 times, but he is not the striker, the top draw striker that we should be having in the vein of Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, etc., etc. Ian Wright, John Hartson. Oh, I take John Hartson. And it's just I'm getting frustrated talking about it because it's holding us back.
I was almost thinking after Saturday how much of a new spine to the team do we almost need, because it does feel like there's a player.
We say this every year though.
Yeah, but it does almost again. I mean, I think going into the season we were a bit optimistic because we're like, oh, check Koscielny, Coquelin, Giroud, and we were like, oh, they're all decent players. You know, they'd all had good ends to the season. But I think again we're coming to an end of the season going, oh, we sort of needed better new centre half.
How is this happening? How is this happening? So we just we just had loads. We've got rid of the dead wood, and now we've got it's like moist wood almost. Do you know what I mean? Like just
wet bark.
Wet bark.
I mean,
you
in fairness,
you can't light wet bark. It doesn't catch fire.
No, that is true. I like this now.
That's a good analogy, to be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair, I guess going back though to the summer saying that we thought these players are all decent. We probably did all think we need a central midfielder and a striker in the summer, and yeah, again we didn't go out and buy anyone.
I think as long as Wenger's here, I just don't think that we will strengthen significantly to win another Premier League title.
Yeah, but saying that, I mean, the next incumbent, possibly Patrick Vieira, he's not going to be given thousands of pounds to spend, is he? By the board, because that's all going on Stan Kroenke's mansions and acres of farmland. So that would be a concern for me actually when Wenger does decide to, he's not going to get sacked if he decides to leave, and hopefully sooner rather than later. I mean, it doesn't matter what the media say. It's like, can Arsenal live without Wenger? It's like, yeah, absolutely we can. But it's an interesting point to raise. Like when the new incumbent comes in, what's he going to be given to turn around? He's not going to get. I don't think he's going to be given £200 million of, pounds to just lob away in a player like Memphis Depay, who's really not brilliant. So that's right. I'm going to breathe. Sorry. Yeah. So on the plus side, I thought El Neni had a really excellent game, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with you. Compared to Coquelin against Spurs, anyway.
He didn't really have that many touches, but
I liked his first touch as well.
It was quality over quantity.
Yeah. Looked
really assured. He's looking like Marcelo a bit too much though, so I'm worrying about. Like the Egyptian Marcelo, perhaps. No, are you not getting that?
I think he looks a bit like The Weeknd.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, fair. but back onto matters. I just think he just looks like he looks like really a composed player. He's only £5 million. Even if it's a stopgap, then great, I think. And arguably, he'll probably start now against West Brom. I would have thought with Ramsey.
Yeah. Well, I hope he starts over Flamini anyway.
Yeah.
I hope he starts against Watford on Saturday.
What, you mean West Brom?
Well, no, because we play in Watford if we get through the game tomorrow.
Well, no, because that will be shoved up. They can't change that. It'll be shoved up the list. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they were playing. I thought they had Watford on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it was, and then they had to move the West Brom game. It's so confusing.
I don't know what happens with that.
Well, surely they can't do that.
I don't know.
Because the game's televised.
Yeah.
I don't know when you'd bring the Watford game, well, whichever game isn't played.
Just
this
play
weekend.
it
I don't know
just play it on a Wednesday afternoon or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just lob it in there. I think just somewhere. On the good points of the game, Ospina, really good. For me, he's always been a really good shot stopper. Slightly mentally fragile, but he was on his game and absolutely vitally. And now with Czech out for another 3 weeks, it's really important that he's now got the confidence to carry on in the first team. He's going to play tomorrow. He's going to play at the weekend, whoever it be, Watford or West Brom, and then for the next game after that. Rob, how did you rate his performance?
Yeah, I thought he did quite well. I mean, I think people perhaps go back to that Olympiacos game where he pretty much dropped one in his own net and suddenly he was no good anymore.
Yeah.
But he's always been quite a stellar goalkeeper for us, and well, I think he was probably always a stellar goalkeeper. But yeah, he had a good game. Bit iffy with the set piece, like we said, where he was behind the line and somehow kept it in.
Well, no, it didn't go across the line. It was only
Well,
like a tiny bit of the ball didn't go
That was
over the line.
incredibly close.
Yeah, I didn't even watching it. I didn't even thought, oh, he just saved that with his chest or something like that. And I didn't even question that it nearly crossed the line.
I was a bit worried when he went down holding his chest. I thought, oh god, not him as well, because I think Matt Macy was on the bench.
Yeah, he was.
And
yeah.
I was. It's going to go one of two ways. This will be Matt Macy puts in an absolute worldly performance from an opposition goalkeeper at the Emirates against Arsenal, or we lose 5-1 and we go, oh god, we've got this guy in for like a month.
You see the headlines. Hero Macy saves 2 Kane penalties.
Yeah,
come on.
Chick doesn't regain his place.
Right, yeah, yeah. Let's bring reality back into the room.
But no, I don't think either of the goals were particularly his fault. And he obviously made that great save from Lamella in the first half, which was very reactionary. I think, he's a lot better than some of the backup goalkeepers we've had over the years who we've gone, oh, God, are they playing, really?
He's not bad at all for number 2. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't here next season. I think, I honestly thought because the Copa America, there's another Copa America this summer as well, but I thought after last year's Copa America, had he not got the first team shirt at the back end, that he might have left after a good tournament perhaps.
Yeah, I think China will come in for him, to be honest. Not necessarily just China. There are other countries that he could go to. I'm just saying the ludicrous amounts of yen and what I think it's yen, isn't it? Yeah. I was going to say dong then, but just for comedy effect, it's yen. Thousands of millions of yen flying around just in the air like that. So, I mean, yeah, it's. I think we'll see how it goes, but like I say, it's important to have a player of his ability waiting to come in when needs be. Should we talk about BT Sport? I assume you'll be watching so it's the 90 stoppage time. I'm having kittens with nerves, basically, as I'm sure you two were. Really stressed out, and then the feed decides to go. It's like, oh my god.
I was watching in a pub, and the feed goes off, and everyone absolutely loses it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say lost it. I was in quite a restrained pub. I was looking around to the bar. It's like, well, because you know what pubs are, sports pubs. It's like, put it on the right channel, and because they don't know what they do, they thought it was their channel. I'm trying to explain. It's the BT feed. There's nothing wrong with it for once. So the feed comes back, and all of a sudden the ball's on the top of the net, and then we see this replay of Ramsey having a one-on-one. It's a brilliant by Wimmer. I just thought Ramsey did one too many. He should have hit that. Matt,
it made the whole feed thing going off even worse. That you come back and see.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine coming it back and the ball's in the net and everyone's going mental? It's like,
well, what? Spurs are on the attack as well when it's left, and I was a bit like, oh no.
Especially after Gabriel decided to nearly score an amazing own goal. I tell you what, when he mishit that, I thought, oh, that's going in, isn't it? A lot like Kane, but like it was like he had the same kind of bend on it. It was ridiculous. And can you just imagine if that had gone in? You clearly can't. You're like,
I don't know what I would have done.
I'd have lost my, you know what.
I think chairs would have been chairs would have been thrown, I think.
Yeah, it'd have been like the typical European Championships for England fans would have been. The plastic chairs would have been sailing, glass broken. Goodness me. But luckily that didn't come to fruition. So, I mean, I'll come on to the result then. Are you happy with the point, like overall? As you said, Matt, we needed to win. Rob?
I mean, in the context of the game, I'm happy with it. I suppose I'm with Matt. We did need to win that game because, I mean, going into the last 3 games, we needed 9 points because we have to keep winning. We're not leading a table trying to cling on or anything. We're trying to catch up with a team that seems to be a bit of a runaway train at the minute.
Yeah. Is it Leicester's to lose?
I think it might be.
I think it is.
They got Newcastle, who are a shambles at the moment, on Monday.
Their last 3 games are like their hardest
tough.
3 games.
Yeah.
The thing that's concerning me is on the final day, we're at home to
Villa.
That's right, which doesn't necessarily concern me that much, or shouldn't do. Spurs have to go to Newcastle, and Leicester have to go to Chelsea. So, I'm liking the way that it doesn't concern me. It concerns that right. But if Leicester had to win, because I could see Spurs going to Newcastle and winning.
I think if Newcastle need a win to stay up, it could be interesting.
It really could. Spurs' fixture list is not particularly nice. Because, we've got to go to Everton, I think in 2 weeks' time, am I correct? On the 19th? Yes. And then, obviously, I think our toughest game after that is Man City away. It's 2 very tough games. Other than that, I'd say all of the games are winnable. I say winnable again, and yet we lose to a team like Swansea. But Spurs, Bournemouth, they've got to play Liverpool. They've got to play United. It's not a favourable fixtures for them, and I'm kind of hoping that someone kicks the crap out of Dele Alli, albeit softly, so he's not out of the Euros when they play Dortmund on Thursday night. Or something happens to someone. I should probably rescind that statement. That sounds far too sinister, doesn't it? But even just if they can just run themselves into the ground. And who is it they've got on it? Well, they've got a Villa away, so you would think that's an absolute gimme for them. But after a tough Europa League game in Germany, you never know. So,
I think they need to they can't get my words out. I want them to stay in the Europa League for as long as possible,
yes,
for the sake that they have games on a Thursday and then play 2 or 3 days later, whatever it is.
Yeah, because
and hopefully that their players do tire out.
Exactly, it's my hope that they lose some of those Sunday games. And although we have to be careful here, because we don't want we don't want Leicester to slip up and Spurs to sneak in, and because that would just be all sorts of horrendous. So I think we have to tread carefully here, because it would be obviously, Leicester winning the league would be an incredible story, and it would take up the huge embarrassment of having to lose the title to that lot. I mean, I'm still not entertaining that idea yet. Let's get to the end of the month. There's still a long way to go. There's still 9 games to go. That's what I'm telling myself in a quiet room as I put on
cry.
Cry, and I strap my straight jacket on, which we all be doing. And it won't be able to be white. Obviously, I'll have to dye it. But yeah, let's not come to that scenario just yet. We'll address it in a few weeks if we need to. Anything else you want covering, chaps? Maybe
We can talk about Hull.
We can talk about Hull, absolutely. It would be rude not to. You tricky trip to the KC Stadium, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think they might rotate a few players out like they did in the Emirates game, although that doesn't, seeing as we're in a replay, that doesn't necessarily mean we're guaranteed to win. But I'm almost thinking that this is...
Is Giroud going to start, do you think?
I reckon he will.
I think he might, yeah.
I was listening to the Arscast Extra earlier, and they were saying that this game needs to be viewed as form building, and I'm inclined to agree with them, really. I mean, we need to take that seriously. I'm almost at that point where it's like, the title might be over for us, and this again might be our last chance of silverware this season. And I'd like Arsene Wenger to go out with that record of having won 3 on the bounce for the first time in 130 years, and
then it would have to be renamed the Arsenal Cup, not the FA Cup.
Exactly.
Should be great. I think
we're halfway there with the Emirates Cup anyway.
Exactly. The FA Cup, Arsenal. No, I said that wrong. The Arsenal Emirates FA Cup. There we go. Said it right this time. And I think I think I'm right in saying we get some sort of shield if we win it 3 years in a row. Because I can't remember who did it in the past. I think it was Aston Villa actually, but don't quote me. And then it's like a blue shield. Should be like another trophy, like another trophy in the cabinet, like the 4th place trophy, which we might be heading for once more. So that'd be interesting to see. I mean, are you confident going into the game, Matt?
I'm not even that confident after our previous run of games.
Do you not think Sanchez's goal is a potential turning point?
I do.
And one of many turning points in this season.
I do think, I don't want to curse it, but I do think that we should go through.
Glad you tapped the table there. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to win, surely.
Well, yeah. I mean, another quarter-final in the FA Cup suits me fine. I mean, I don't want fixture congestion, but again, you know, when you get to the quarterfinals, just one game away from Wembley, and we know how good our record at Wembley is. It's very good. So it would be rude not to, frankly. Yeah. And so Giroud starting, Sanchez starting. You think?
Well, I think that Giroud would start, and Welbeck will probably be rested.
Ozil tends to be rested for the FA Cup games.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see if he plays, considering his poor. I mean, that was probably his worst performance this season against Spurs.
I think Joel Campbell should play.
Yeah, I think a you play as number 10, I would have thought. So we're looking at a Giroud. I would say Alexis Iwobi, Joel on the right. And then maybe
we can't rest too many in defence either because everyone's injured. So
precisely, yeah. I think we're putting Callum Chambers right back. So Koscielny's out. Put it out for the weekend as well. So Gabriel Mertesacker. I mean, what are the other options? There isn't a lot.
No.
Monreal's out. Gibbs will have to play again. I mean, that's a bit concerning. I can see Hull getting at our defence. Hopefully we'd have enough goals in us to come out on top, but you don't know, really. Quick prediction. What do you think, Rob?
I'd go 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0.
Am I too confident after the weekend? We only did draw 2-all.
Very confident.
Matt? I'd probably say something similar. 2-0, 2-1, something like that.
I'm going to go a penalty win, unfortunately. Yeah. You can see, you can pick your jaws up off the floor now. Gasps in the room. It's like, I think that might happen. I think it's going to be very possibly 1-1 at full time, goes to extra time, goes to penalties. Yes. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Is that game on TV tomorrow?
It is on BT Sport.
I think it's on BT.
Yes.
Right, okay. It might not be on BT Sport.
Feed works, yes. And on that note, let's wrap things up this week. Thanks a lot for joining us again. You can join us on the Facebook group, on obviously Facebook. You can contact us on Twitter at @E_ArsenalNet, all one word. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you, Rob.
No worries. Hopefully next time I don't drop out of the call. I don't get interrupted by my dog.
Yes. What was your dog wanting? Was he wanting feeding?
I don't know. He came in, like my plate was on the floor because I'm, so classy, and he
Was your dog wearing a Spurs shirt? Was he just
No.
trolling you or something like that? No.
just sent it.
Or a shirt, perhaps even. No.
No. I don't know what he wanted. So like, he never comes in here, and then the one time he does. Anyway, I'm digressing.
You are indeed. Can we have your Twitter handle?
Yeah, at Rob Tongerson94.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Matt, for joining us on your inaugural podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Do you have a Twitter handle for us?
I do indeed. At Matt D. Dawson is my Twitter.
Superb. I've been Neil, your host. You can get me onto at the 91st Neil. That's at D91STNEIL. We will be back on Sunday probably to talk about the whole game tomorrow and West Brom / Watford. So yes, FA Cup / could be an FA Cup double, could be an FA Cup league single, whatever you want. So do join us for that. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again.